Well, CCA is the leader in conservation, and they're the leader of the workbench here at
Yes,
the
they
CCA
are.
workbench, but we've
They
kind
own
of
it.
moved a little off because this is pretty big.
Yeah, this won't fit on the bench.
Dave,
Won't
we
fit
are
on the
lucky
bench.
enough to have Gene Hammond from Reeling Freedom. And Gene, you know what? When we talked about paddle boards and how they're being used for fishing, let's just get right into it. Tell me how this paddle board is set up and why.
Well, these paddle boards are from Kaku Kayaks, and this is a perfect platform to get in skinny water on the grass flats, and to do it with a little bit of stealth. Right? You paddle right along, and because paddleboard sports gaining in popularity because you can stand up on these things, and oftentimes I'll put my feet on the seat here and sit on the back of this kayak.
To be a little elevated.
When you get that elevation, you can see inside the water and sight cast those inshore fish.
Now, Gene,
Yeah.
Dave and I were talking, typically paddle boards don't have dual paddles.
That's
but
correct.
you have a
Well-
dual paddle on this. Tell me why.
Traditionally, you have one blade, but when you want to cover long distances, you want to get down on that seat, get low, and use that dual paddle to propel you forward.
Yeah, see, that's always scared me about these things because, like I was saying before, I'm not a big, I don't do anything.
Yeah.
So I've always been afraid of getting up on that thing
Boy,
and paddling.
that's an understatement. He really doesn't.
I thought I would get out there, be in trouble.
Yeah,
but
so-
I like the idea I can sit down with a dual blade one and move.
That's right. On a paddleboard, you want a paddle that's at least 250 centimeters. It gives you a little more length to reach forward and push that water backwards.
Now, it seems to be, a kayak is more pointy and narrow and tippy. Paddle boards are not?
No, this one's 35 inches wide, and I can stand up and walk around on this thing like I'm standing on dry land.
All right, so
Yep.
let's talk about how you have the board rigged. All right,
Yep.
Gene, so we've got a micro power pole.
right.
Certainly, what size spike do you prefer?
Well, I think that's an 8-footer. We typically stay shallow. If you're in a little bit deeper water, I recommend a grapple anchor.
Okay.
So you can get down there a little bit, but we can sneak right up on the beach, drop this power pole down, and stay in place to sight fish those.
Do you guys ever put any electronics on them?
Absolutely, yeah. Kayak. You can buy a mount that goes right into the gear track
I gotcha.
with a transducer that goes through the through hole. With a little 12-volt battery, you can.
So you can just take it off and take it with you.
Yeah.
So we've got rod holders. You typically carry, let's see, one and maybe three additional rods back there.
Yeah, I usually take 3 with me, one for artificial, one for live, and I usually have one for a sabiki rig for bait.
And the milk crate, what's that do?
Well, that just holds all my gear.
Okay.
So I put my tackle hooks, the landing net,
Your
and
live bait well, does that go in there too? Or you, you got a
what
bucket?
what I do with a live bait, I don't have it out here, but it's basically a torpedo
Right.
trolling bucket.
Oh,
Okay.
I gotcha.
So when I sabiki them up, I put them in that little torpedo, and it doesn't create much drag when you're paddling around.
So Gene, I see that we have a safety flag. What is the purpose? Is that
I'll tell you
a
what.
Coast Guard rule or is that your personal?
That is personal, right? Because safety is paramount. What you want to do, you're next to the water, so you want to try to increase your visibility as much as possible.
Right.
Let people know you're there. Orange flags, and even at night, when you're fishing at night, you get a
nice.
little all-around white light. So people can see
Bass
where you're at.
fishing this time of year because it's so hot in Texas is very popular, and I think this would really be a cool way. Not your stealth,
Yeah, at
as
night,
well
too.
as I guess the only thing you might have to worry about is Wally the alligator. You might want to get up on here with you. So
Yeah,
Gene,
we've landed sharks on these boards.
yeah. So when you hook a big fish, tows you around.
Oh yeah, I call that a South Florida sled ride,
I gotcha.
or a Texas sled ride.
Texas sled ride, I like it.
Yeah.
I noticed some of these boards have compartments up in the front. What is that all about?
Dry storage. There's a trolling bucket right there, but you can keep a waterproof bag with anything that you may want in there. So,
Well,
Yeah, the ones I got fished on first, they didn't have those beautiful things like that. We would just roll over and all our stuff would go to the bottom.
Yeah, you want to try to keep things tied down. I usually have a strap around the crate. And,
Right. It'd be kind of hard to flip one of these things over, wouldn't it? Though, I mean, if you go
possible.
in the water, is it pretty easy to get back on them?
Yeah, you just kind of belly flop up there.
I gotcha.
So tell me about the foundation.
Well, Reeling Freedom was started by a very good friend of mine by the name of Paul Gage. And Paul Gage donated 22 years of active duty service
Nice.
to your United States Marine Corps. When he
love it.
retired, he got a boat, started fishing, and he noticed all these people standing on the sandbars and jetties. They were veterans. So one day he parked the boat, said, "Who wants to go fishing?"
I love it.
Yep. And then after a few trips of that, his wife was, Danelle, was like, "Why don't we just turn this into a foundation?"
So, if guys want to know more about the foundation, you guys have a great library of photos as well as some videos there. Where do they go?
You go to reelingfreedom.com, and you can look us up on Facebook. And
You did a great job. Thank you so much. I'm
No
so
problem.
much more enlightened about how we can use a paddleboard, Dave. We've
Yeah,
had
man.
kayaks in the past, but the board seems to be a really cool way to go.
I'd like to give it a shot. Yeah.
Very portable. All right, speaking of portable, we've got to go to another region, Sarah. So where are we headed?